Morning, Alpha.
Hi, good morning, Dr. Marcia.
Oh, wow. Um, so I'm still getting used to that Dr. Marsha. Just Marsha will do, right?
All right.
Uh, so um, Alpha Sennon is our change maker today. And he is the founder of Y Farm, which once started as a small initiative, but it has taken off because its idea is so change making. As we talk today, you're going to see, we're pulling back the curtain and we're showing you what it takes to be a leader. And you'll be surprised at how down to earth and how visionary this young man is. I haven't asked Alpha his age, but maybe when we talk background, he will divulge. Um, Alpha, you are such a bright light in my eyes because of the big changes that you are making by influencing the philosophy of our people and the understanding that people should be focused on making their food source sustainable and eating more local foods.
Yeah,
You are providing ways that we could begin earning and keeping our money right here in Trinidad.
yeah,
And you are showing us that agriculture can be an income maker. Because
definitely.
it's not something that we have traditionally seen
Yeah,
as a high income earner.
yeah,
We are an oil and gas economy,
yeah,
but we all know that the writing is on the wall. Oil and gas is not a sustainable resource and it's running out. We've been told that we have less than 10 years, maybe, of oil and gas. And for many years, we have heard that we need to diversify our economy. The extent to which diversification has happened, however, is lacking. And so when we see that our food source is one of the big ways to shift the focus of our industry and do a lot more farming for ourselves, I get excited.
yeah.
There are so many things that you are doing to build this, and I don't want to take away the joy of letting you talk about it yourself by talking about it myself. So let's start by just welcoming you and telling you how much of a pleasure it is to have you here with me today. Thanks so much for agreeing to this interview.
I mean, thank you very much for having me. I believe that being able to have such platforms, it is very inspiring, taking up your time and putting this project together to share with your students, share with your followers, share with my followers, share with my community as well is absolutely important. We need to be having these conversations, and of course, these conversations must now spark action, right? Positive action in those who listen to it. May not necessarily go on to do something in agriculture, not necessarily, but just make a change in the way you do things moving forward. So, the pleasure is mine. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we are going to talk about the ideas and how they came about. And I
Yeah,
do think that when we see the journey you've been on, both in your mind as well as in your actions, that will spark so many ideas and belief in ourselves for
yeah,
everybody who might be watching.
yeah,
So we have been talking to Alpha Sennon, and the primary reason is that he is the founder of Y Farm, and Y Farm is a bright, bright spark. You will be seeing so much more of it, not only in Trinidad, but all around the world. And Alpha will tell us more as we go by. So, Alpha, can you tell me a little bit about your background? Explain to me who Alpha is and why Alpha came to be the person he is,
hmm
and then how your philosophy that emerged,
yeah.
how did that spark your ideas for Y Farm and what it has become?
Sure. So, to tell you who I am, I would then I'll have to go back to a bit of childhood days and understand my socio-economic slash cultural background, growing up, and my household culture, so to speak. My household culture would have definitely been one of agriculture. Not, I would say agriculture, not agribusiness, right? So my father, worked in the oil and gas industry, good job with Petrotrin back then, but his passion was agriculture, gardening, farming. And of course, he got that culture from his father, my grandfather, right? So he, of course, tried to embed the same thing in us. Now, I grew up in an age there then that you have to do that. You have to do agriculture was like our chores. And for those of us who, well, everyone was kids, but kids don't like chores, right? You don't really like chores. But you have to do it, right? Otherwise it's cut tail as we say. So grew up doing agriculture and not really liking it. And as I grew older, I realized I didn't like it that much because it's like, why we have to do this hard work? Why we can't just go in the supermarket and pick up food? So the reason there, as I look back, was that I didn't know why. I didn't know why it is important. And of course, with, as I said, understanding with my father having that good job in the oil and gas industry, so we were planting, we were eating our own food, but not necessarily selling. We wouldn't necessarily turn it into like a business. We would plant, we would share food, we would give out. I mean, at that point in time, I wasn't even thinking about, wait, we're feeding ourselves. Or we are making money, it's just that but also we saving money. We don't have to go and purchase in the market on a Sunday because we growing it ourselves. But that the conversation wasn't being had. So you weren't looking at it like that. And I would say not necessarily intentionally saying I don't want anything to do with that because of course even at that time no one was telling you that you could go and study agriculture. No one was telling you that you could go to university and get an agribusiness degree neither. So I was doing maths and physics and sciences in secondary school, acing all those subjects. I had a really good math brain. Um, Went on to UE, try maths and physics. I don't know what happened after 2 years. I think, well, I don't know if everyone could relate to this, but I felt as though I reached a stage where it had to make sense for me. It had to really line up with some level of purpose. And for me, it's like, why am I doing this? How am I passionate about this? So I started just kind of flunking at school, and until I got an RTW, right? I was asked to withdraw because I wasn't performing good. I came out. I did a year with OJT, and I was like literally teaching some standard two children in a school. That as well really helped me to sort of connect with children on a different way because I realized, and also with teaching, I realized I was naturally good at teaching, So I did that, I enjoyed it, but of course I went back to university because I don't give up with anything that I'm doing, right? But I went back and I was trying IT. That wasn't my kettle of fish neither. So then the dean told me, Alpha, why not try agribusiness? I was like, agribusiness? What is agribusiness? Right? And there I went into the class and everything as a child and growing up with the farming and food and health, it just really came back to me. And I literally topped the class, first class honors, valedictorian 3 years later, full scholarship, postgraduate scholarship to do my MPhil in agricultural extension, right? So that transition from as a child to getting right back to the land, like I couldn't run from it. That happened. So what really allowed me now to realize the importance of it is that, or not that, but the importance of it, yes, but also how society sort of perceives it is that your folks would ask you, Alpha, what are you studying? And I'd be like, well, agribusiness, and you would get a okay, that's important too. You won't get that, yeah, man, good stuff, man. You're bright or you're whatever. So somehow or the other, people, when they don't hear medicine, engineering, law, you don't get that, hey, you're doing a good job. And then it's like, me now was like, wait, but how could that be? I'm studying ways and means to feed you. I'm studying ways and means to affect policy and develop agribusinesses and not waste food and healthier products. And yet still, it's like you look down on that, right? So this is when I realized that something must be done. A conversation must be had. And of course, thinking back as well that I don't want to wait until I reach university to understand food security. I don't want to wait until another child has to reach university to understand the importance of what they can do and get that why from a child because I missed that why as a child. And of course, the idea started toiling and toiling and toiling. Started traveling around the Caribbean. I remember one of my field trips to Jamaica with the Agribusiness Society. on a study tour, it really opened up my eyes to the possibilities that exist in agriculture. Large greenhouses, irrigation ponds, factories on the farm processing a particular product, going to the supermarket, the supply chain. I was like, wow, I ain't really seeing that in Trinidad and Tobago. Maybe it's there, but I never saw. So that in itself really allowed that, nah, agriculture is way just more than a farmer, and we need to be changing the conversation. Of course, in toiling and toiling, the whole idea about the why in farming came up. And that is where the birth of why farm, which means we help youth farm, came into being.
That's a perfect segue for me into your values and your vision. Because what you've told me is that you were not so in love with any version of yourself that you were unwilling to step outside that and push yourself a little bit more.
Yeah.
You kept literally taking yourself into new um, environments
Mm-hmm,
and picking up examples of things that you had not known
mm-hmm,
and then adapting them. So you're not taking them wholesale and copying them,
yeah,
although that's also appropriate if sometimes.
mm-hmm,
But you are taking them and saying, okay, in my context, how can this work?
yeah,
And how does this change my understanding of who I am, of what I want, and of what I think I could change for my
mm-hmm.
country? So can you tell us a little bit about your values and your vision for YFAM, please?
Sure. So, I mean, in terms of values, I'm deeply embedded in culture. I mean, a major part of my upbringing, which I may have forgot just now, is participating in the panyard. And many people may not have an appreciation for panyard if you never was really, let's say, if you never was really involved like that, right? But the
Right. So
panyard,
our interview is being streamed internationally. So some people may not know what we mean by
sure,
pan.
sure, right? So steel pan is this Trinidad and Tobago national instrument, which is really our major upcycling, I would say project from, and when I say upcycling, taking a discarded oil drum and turning it into a musical instrument, right? So that is Trinidad and Tobago culture for you there. You can't get any more Trini with a pan, right? So growing up in the Panya is this center community hub for the rich, the poor, the needy, the academic, the layman, the everybody, right? Where we come together, create music, create a band, and performances and etc. etc. The young, the old, the not so old, you name it, right? And of course, the important part of why I'm mentioning this is the whole aspect of that cultural appreciation, right? So a lot of what we do at YFAM as well, it speaks towards that cultural appreciation. It speaks towards understanding, the roots of where we come from and where we heading and why we heading there, right? Now, a major part of my values too, obviously, will stem from my religious beliefs. I practice the Islamic faith. And so I believe in feeding people. I believe in helping people. I believe in treating each other equally. I believe in justice. I believe in zero oppression. And I believe in these things and I act upon it by teaching everyone in society about why it's important to grow food. Not just those in my Muslim community, but everyone the importance of it. And of course, naturally my upbringing would have been via the Roman Catholic Church. I would be very honest to say that I actually changed religion when I was like more like a teenager. When I found like a different calling started to happen for me personally. But I don't discredit my upbringing from a Roman Catholic family of some of the values that would have been embedded in me there as well as a child, right? So it all comes together to make this package that is Alpha Sennon today.
That's great, Alpha. So I learned about you from a friend, Omar Ali. He was in engineering with me back in the 90s. when
Mhm.
we did our first degree. He was a mechanical engineer, I was an industrial engineer.
Mhm.
And Omar and I have stayed in contact. He has traveled all over the world and he has become an ambassador for all things Trini. He's contacted me about cocoa research and about chocolate making.
Mhm.
And he has gone and represented Trinidad at different booths
Mhm.
around the world talking about our chocolate and trying to market our chocolate and our chocolatiers. In a similar way, he became the flag bearer for you. And he was like, Marsh, I'm so excited about this boy, Alpha and Y Farm. And he started to tell me about some of the ideas you all had.
Mhm.
Not just the farming part of the ideas, but the agri-edutainment side of it, from comic books
Mhm.
to speaking to entertaining people by going and doing agriculture camps and doing storytelling and so on. That gives me so much joy because I'm a teacher. And as a teacher, I know that if we teach in a very staid and serious way,
Mhm.
we tend to lose half of our students.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
When we are entertaining as well as educating,
Mhm.
we hook them and we keep them.
Yeah.
And so that really got me fired up about you. So, what I would like to look at now is how you have let that vision evolve over the years and how you have diversified YFAM from where you started, which was a backyard project just to
Mhm.
sustain your family.
Mhm.
How did it go from a backyard project to a community project and an international project and so many elements being drawn into it?
One of the flag bearers of our project, or one of the innovations that really catch on and allowed it to propel faster than I even expected, was the creation of the world's first and only superhero for food and nutrition security, AgriMan. So when we launched in 2015, we immediately sparked a fire. And of course, I was already, prior to YFAM itself, I was a youth ambassador, in different organizations and youth leader, youth voice for agriculture, but that wasn't with my YFAM title just yet. I reached out to many colleagues internationally. I was always looking for opportunities online and whatnot. And I reached out to many colleagues and said, hey, let's partner. We created Agriman. Let's partner up with each other, right? And I automatically then received a lot of good responses connecting us to this one, to that one, to the other. Can you come and speak at our symposium, at our forum? And then besides that, in terms of from a local perspective, Agriman, teachers, principals, schools, you name it, reached out to us right away to be able to partner up and get Agriman to come in school, to be able to come and teach and preach to these children, develop gardens on school at schools, get children to come to our farm as well too immediately. So that really sparked a fire. And of course, media, we really reached out. Well, not necessarily we reached out, but media reached out to us for many highlights, internationally, especially to talk about the work that we do it via their blogs and whatnot. So this allowed for a real international presence, faster, maybe a more international presence than local presence, to be very honest.
Mhm.
We receive a lot of international recognition before local recognition, to be quite frank.
Wow. So, where did you get your international recognition from?
So Thought for Food, Thought for Food Foundation was like the first foundation that really supported us. I was able to do a keynote speech at their forum in Amsterdam. Then I was able to do at Rome, in Rome International Fund for Agricultural Development. They invited me to tell my story, sort of like a TEDx talk. They call it Ag Talks, and that in itself, when they did that video and they posted it, many folks all over started to be like, wow, I would love for him to come and speak here, speak there. Let's partner up with Agriman. Let's do a comic book together. And it really started booming like that, until I got to TEDx stage in Amsterdam and did that. and has did many keynote talks all over from Israel to Australia, all over the globe literally. And the big motto I would say was collaboration, not competition, complementing, not reinventing. And I always say don't reinvent the wheel, let's make it spin. A lot of people like to start over from scrap and reinventing something, wasting resources. You could bring this to the table, I could bring this to the table, and we get one bigger, more healthy, nutritious table, you know? And that's just it. That's just it. I think some of those philosophies and concepts really allowed us to boom, right? Beyond. I mean, I had no idea, to be honest, that when we took Agriman to Tobago, put someone in the Agriman costume, I had no idea that children would have loved it like that. I won't really expecting that amount of love, but it happened. Kids didn't want to leave the booth. I mean, of course, you had some adults who was laughing. Who is that? That is Ninja Turtle, you know. And it's fine, it's cool, But children, they were excited, and the character himself being very edutaining, being very inspiring, and know how to deal with children, that gives it a real plus and a real nudge. So it really allowed for a spark to be lit, and as you said from the beginning, it's people driven, right down to earth, and that is the message of Y-Farm, that I think we really connect with the people more than anything else.
Yep. So I actually spent a little time writing down all the different things I knew about all the different arms of the work that I see from YFAM, and I ran out of space on the page. So in a nutshell, I see your business as first farming, second backing up that actual digging the soil and growing the plants, to backing it up with agri-edutainment. And your
Hmm.
agri-edutainment is agri-venture camps, videos, interviews, school tours, storytelling, educational games, your comic books.
Hmm.
And I'm sure you have even more that you want to do there.
Hmm.
I see you even started some recipes, and I like that because we also need to talk about healthy eating and healthy lifestyles.
Yeah.
I, as my friend Omar says, I'm a good mako. I, and I prefer to say I do good research, right? So I went looking through your YFAM page, and there
Hmm.
was such a wealth of information there. I saw a picture of you that you showed in an interview that you did to inspire men with the Prime Minister's Office on Gender and Youth Affairs
Hmm.
Ministry. And that picture was you in a dashing patch.
Hmm.
That is an amaranth patch. For those who don't know the name dasheen, the scientific name is amaranth, I think. Um, so ground provisions are such a good source of nutrition. It's much
Hmm.
better than white carbs, right?
Hmm.
So it's a lower glycemic index food,
Hmm.
and moving us to lower glycemic sources of starch, it will make a big change,
Hmm.
especially to people who have diabetes. If we cut down on the white and we move to the higher fiber and the lower glycemic index starches,
Yeah.
we'll be in a better place, right? So I love that you're doing that. And there's a whole story you could tell us, I'm sure, about how we should eat and how we could sustain ourselves with
Hmm.
healthy and local foods.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I know we don't have all that much time, so we wouldn't turn this into a health talk. Um, the other thing that I see you doing is merchandising.
Hmm.
I've seen you actually advertising grow boxes,
Hmm.
and in the grow boxes you have the soil and you have the
Hmm.
seedlings or
Hmm.
seeds. So you're selling seedlings and seeds. You're selling grow boxes. Listen, set it up for yourself.
Yeah.
You actually will advise people on how to do it.
Yeah.
You have a hub in Separia. That's
Hmm.
your home base,
Hmm.
and people can go there to choose and to purchase and to get advice. Do you have any online ways that people could contact you in these times?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, we do a lot of transactions via WhatsApp, to be very honest, which is like the easiest. We do have Well, now that we have a big fundraiser coming up on August the 28th, we have online tickets, which is like a lunch sale for a nice provision menu, a real local menu, kalalu, kuku provision, chicken, fish, kind of thing. Of course, we have vegan option, and we via Suntix, which is an online ticket platform, and you
Right.
could pay for your tickets online as well. But via WhatsApp for all our soil and grow boxes and plants. We had dashing plants and all sorts of seedlings and seeds and certain, organic or natural fertilizers available as well, right? So, I mean, the important part of those things is that YFAM being, yes, a non-profit organization, a social enterprise, but it's understanding the model and how we able to diversify to be able to fund ourselves because this work that we do, it does have a high operational cost. And a lot of the operational cost, of course, is cut down by sweat equity, by volunteerism, by people being able to give their time. But of course, you cannot depend on that, right? Because opportunities come and opportunities go, right? So we must be able to eventually have a staff that I could say, there's in our office we have 5 folks employed in the office, 5 folks employed in the field, 5 folks employed in the factory, 5 drivers employed going out and distributing and seeing about the supply chain. And this is the operation that we're talking about. So it would have keeping this in mind, this would have allowed for multiple, I would say, subsidiaries, sub projects to be able to evolve from YFAM. And if you like, of course, I could tell you some of them now.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So one
I've
of
been,
you,
I've been looking at how you internationalize your operation,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's because you've been traveling so widely and you
yeah,
always were looking for collaboration and not
yeah.
seeing yourself as playing small.
No,
Some of
no,
us
no.
feel, listen, I'm just a small person from Trinidad.
Mm-hmm,
And that included me up till very recently. Who wants to listen to this little rural girl or this
mm-hmm,
little rural boy?
mm-hmm.
And the thing is that you always had that audacious belief in the power of your message and your ability to change. And the change wasn't limited to I could change this country.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
want to change the world.
yeah.
And so yes, for sure I want to share your message about how you've expanded internationally and to where.
Yeah, sure. I mean, again, upon launching, people would have realized that, wow, I need this in my country. And it was just that, right? So folks from all over, all many different countries, Nigeria, many African countries, reached out, Haiti in the Caribbean. So we had like a call for ambassadors where folks would have signed up to become part of our conversation in their locality, right? And it ideally meant that they could take up a role because I can't be here, there, and everywhere, or neither could my team. It's the cost, it's expensive to get there sometimes. So, how could we find folks in those communities who are passionate? They understand what we're doing. They understand the purpose behind it to get to champion the same message over in their country of what we are doing here in Trinidad and Tobago. You know, we didn't launch in a big way because that always takes funds and all of that to do so, but very small in community pockets in these countries. So we're able to say that the message of YFAM is reaching a community in Nigeria. The message of YFAM is reaching a community in Haiti. And of course, they would have their respective social media pages where they could now, put it out there, right? So we have been doing that, been championing that. And I believe that it just came from folks identifying the importance of this work. Now, we just sometimes think that, only in the Caribbean we have a problem with youth in agriculture. That's not only in the Caribbean, it's not only here, it's all over the world. And I have reached as far as on the other side, down under, as they say in Australia, and students told me like, wow, sir, can you stay in our school? Like we don't have anyone telling us this, the message that I go with. And I was like, really? I and all was like surprised because you're thinking that, they would have a big agricultural, food, nutrition, healthy program going on, and but it doesn't always work that way. It's something that's always kind of sidestepped, and we always think about, how do we talk about other topics first instead of the most important things first, right? Which is securing our future. I mean, during the pandemic, at the start of our quarantine, and when the world really started recently with COVID-19, you know, I always say that the two securities that was the most challenging was toilet paper security at the beginning, and then food security, and then as the toilet paper situation got under control, the food security was like this. Oh my gosh, what are we going to eat? Long lines, and I mean, in Trinidad here, it may not have become that much of a panic, but still, people still started to plant something, who never planted in years. Yeah, I mean, and we interacted because our farm was people got free time during COVID. My business went up by 100, right? Because the farm turned into like a highway. It was traffic. People coming to pick up the seeds, the seedling, the soil, the grow box, the inspiration, the knowledge, to take a picture with Al Farmer, going and plant today, and it was just busy, busy, but it really opened up my heart. I mean,
Right.
I won't like some of the other people, watch all you now want to start all you now want to start a plant, all you not all the time. No, it takes things to do things, and the pandemic, it caused people to come back to a certain culture that you
Right.
once knew growing up, that you knew your grandfather and grandmother was doing. But of course, life got busy, the oil and gas, and all many different things that allowed you to kind of always step back from it. But that's rekindling that energy during that period. And still, of course, our job at YFAM is to keep them. We want the folks to be able to continue planting and continue growing what they eat, right? So we
Right.
developed our Plant Your Plate community. We have a WhatsApp group where folks would share information with each other. Folks would be able to say that, way, what something's wrong with my crop. Somebody would give, well, this is what I did, or somebody would share a success story as well too, right? And of course, bartering. We grow a lot of food that we could exchange with each other as well, to when they do, especially when they're doing home gardening, right? So, I mean, these things really and truly allowed for us to um, really be change makers, and really not just, I mean, like, I mean, I'm not bashing anyone, but there were many organizations and whatnot who during the pandemic, they were on webinars, now planning what they're supposed to do. And I find that to be so, I mean, reactive then, like, this is the
Right.
time to execute. This is the time to perform, not now jumping on a whole
Right.
week of webinars on what we should do with food security in the Caribbean.
That is to tell you that we didn't see everything coming, but thank God we were able to adapt. The same thing
Yes,
that our home farmers are doing. Change has come. We maybe haven't planned for it. What's the best we could do at this point? And I'm glad that you are already a couple steps ahead, because then you were able to improve things for us by leading the charge.
for sure,
Give
for
us a
sure.
shine, yeah? So, Alpha, what's your advice for home farmers? If I'm now starting, because I started lettuce and pak choy and that kind of thing just in my front porch, and I have a few bygone plants in the back and a few tomato plants, and I have some fig trees, some banana trees
Yeah.
in the back. But only the banana trees really were happening for year after year after year, and my
Hmm.
little greens in the front porch. But as the COVID lockdown came on, and we actually found ourselves home more, we found some time to do some more gardening.
Yeah.
Um, one of the challenges that I have, and I think many of us have, is that we have clayey soil in our backyard, and that
Okay.
means that we don't get good. The water doesn't travel through the soil, and you will get water just sitting there, and it will cause your roots to rot. At least that's what I've seen.
Hmm.
What is your advice to people who have that to deal with, and also what other advice do you have for home farmers?
Yeah. So for home farmers, home gardeners, I like to say, plant your plate, right? Start with your plate in mind. Your plate being your plate of food that you like to consume. Start with that in mind. Start with, because while, I mean, some folks might be like, ah, just planting this. Me, I really planting it to eat it. I say no. Plant it to eat it. Plant it to consume it. There's no better feeling in the world than consuming that patchoy that you grew for 6 weeks, and you're fighting with this pest to get rid of this pest. And, you know, and you water in it day and evening, and you go and consume that after, that patchoy is a totally different patchoy from when you just pick it up at the supermarket
It
or
tastes totally different
taste
because
totally
you're
different.
literally cooking it straight
Yeah,
as you pick it.
right? Right.
Yeah. And the other
So
advantage is that I made a friend with a iguana. He used to come to eat all my pak choy. But oh gosh, it's a joy to see some of the natural wildlife start coming back into your space, right?
as we say, everybody had to eat it, everybody had to live, right? So, I mean, so start with your plate in mind and work backwards. That is what that's my mentality, and that is what I share our philosophy. Start with your plate in mind and work backwards, and you must be able to identify when you cook that plate of food, how much was the percentage of things on your plate that you grew in your backyard. And we must be trying to increase that percentage as we proceed, as we get better and better into doing it, right? So you must be able to watch it and be like, okay, 33.333% of the things on this plate, I grew it for myself. And in the next 2 months, I wanted to increase to 60%, right? Um, Start with the first four letters in the word planting, PLAN. Have a plan when planting. Don't just go and buy, you don't really eat cabbage. Don't go and plant a cabbage. Plant things that you want to consume. Think about a meal. As I said, think about your plate. Have a plan, strategize, and be like, okay, let me see if I could grow that, my celery, my chive, my pimento, my hot pepper. Let me see if I could grow a pak choy, spinach. These are the things that I consume in my household, or these are the things that I want to consume. I want to get the kids to be able to eat. So look at it like that. Now, for folks who may not have the best soil condition at home, what I would advise is raised beds, what we call grow boxes. And grow boxes could be made from anything. It don't have to be no fancy bricks you go and buy in the hardware. It could simply mean, I mean, we use a lot of coconut shells, and we just make them into walls, and you put soil in there. So then what you would have to do is get some topsoil, get some manure, get some rotten wood, make a mixture. And of course, if you can't get all those things individually, you can simply contact me, and I will bring up a bag. We'll bring bags of soil mix for you, enough to dump in that area that is your raised bed, right? I mean, you can make it into wood. I mean, we have the pallet grow boxes. We have like a step up grow box, small space, no problem. You put it right there, like a 4x6 space, and you could get almost 40 plants growing right there. Um, and besides the raised grow boxes, of course, then you have the technologies like hydroponics today. Growing food, using the PVC pipes. Some people be innovative and use bamboo pipes, bamboo stem, sorry, stalks. Um, and that is of course without soil, that is nutrient based, where you sort of feed the plant what you want the plant to be fed, right? So you have those options as well. That might be a little more expensive, for home use, but then you have barrels and you have containers, you have upcycling. That old fridge that you have outside there, you cut out the guts of it and you dump soil in there and you plant in there. Right now I have outside my house, I have like a old fridge, and I have I think about three pak choy and two melon gen plants growing in it. And very soon I will be able to harvest that, and I'll replant. And that is just home use. So
Right.
folks have to get into that culture of doing that as well. I know, you'd go on YouTube and see all kind of things, and you want to try all kind of things. Yes, you could try and experiment, but there's some simple ways and means of getting it done. And again, for home gardeners as well, avoid going to the agro shops and buying these chemicals that the agro shops will obviously tell you to buy it, right? But there's a lot of unsafe chemicals. And when you purchase food on the market, you already have the chance of buying stuff that is maybe um you know
Right.
yeah, chemical contaminated. We don't know, right? So if you're growing it at home, then give yourself that freedom, that nutritional freedom to be able to, zero pesticides. Now, one might say, well, then how is my crop going to survive when you have this beetle, these nematodes, and you have, white fly? Go back to what our ancestors taught us. Eggshells. I like to call her Sweet Susie. What we call her Stinking Susie, which is marigold. that warns off certain pests. The pests are attracted to that.
Yeah.
Scythe in between your beds. It allows the pungent scent of the scythe. It runs certain pests.
Is it a natural
Yeah,
pesticide?
yeah, natural biological pesticides, right? And many other, garlic and hot pepper, grinded and in soap water. You sprinkle that around the plant. So many things that there are that is cheap. You really don't have to spend money, and it's safer for you as well. And I always say too, a little bit of pest eating the plant, a little bit that is no problem. Because I mean, as I say, if it's not holy, then it's not healthy. So a little bit of hole in the plants, people have the perception of what is this patch? It is all them hole. That's a good. And quite frankly, that is good. Because if the pest could eat it, then you could eat it, or you should eat it, because you know that it's
It should be best.
minimal chemicals on it. So yeah.
So, Alpha, we could talk forever. I could talk so long with you because you have such a wealth of information and inspiration to share. But I know that people have come on to join us for a limited time. So I would like to just sum up a couple things that that I've learned about you
Hmm.
and that I think about you because I want to encourage people to go visit Alpha's Y Farm page, like that page and follow that page and become an active agriculturalist yourself,
Hmm.
not just in terms of your talk, walk your talk as well. Um, I see two more messages. A lot of this is going to help my students who are studying business strategy.
Hmm.
And so I'm so happy that you went into your whole values and vision and how your diversification kind of evolved over time. But the other thing that I see in you is corporate social responsibility. We teach in theory that corporate social responsibility is a stool that sits on three legs, and the three legs are people, profit, and planet.
Hmm.
And in all that you have told us, we see that your focus is people. It's
Hmm.
about providing food in a sustainable way to keep our nation running.
Hmm.
The food that we prepare is the fuel for our people.
Hmm.
So you are focused on people. A business cannot stay in business unless they're making a profit.
Yeah.
And you are figuring out a way in a society that may not give much funding to agriculture, not yet,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you are figuring out a way to stay profitable, and that is by lighting a fire in people's hearts so that they volunteer and they become a part of it.
Yeah.
And just that volunteerism is again feeding into the people side because you are inspiring our youth. You're giving our youth a place to belong.
Hmm.
You're letting people know that you are not the only thought leader.
Yeah.
We as a team could come up with ideas. We as a team could roll it out. We as a
Yeah.
team could be productive.
Yeah.
And then the last one is planet.
Yeah.
You're thinking big. You're not just focused on Trinidad, but the
Hmm.
environment is part of planet. So that is a big part. This whole recycling, you talked about
Yeah.
eggshells.
Hmm.
Do not waste. Use your trimmings to make your compost.
Yep.
Use plants to be pesticides. Natural growing plants, if spaced properly, could repel pests and keep your plants safe.
Yeah.
Um, so I love that People, Profit, and Planet is at the heart, even
Yeah.
though you haven't sold it to me as a banner, this is what I believe in. You believe in it, and it's a foundation element for you. The other thing, Alpha, that I absolutely need to say is that in Trinidad and Tobago, our watchwords and our motto are discipline, tolerance, and production. And it is something that we do not hear people talking about.
Hmm. Hmm.
And sometimes I feel that we've forgotten that tolerance part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, we might ignore somebody who irritates us, but
Yeah.
tolerance is not about ignoring people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tolerance is like truly accepting one another and
Hmm.
truly seeing each other as part of the fabric of our society and
Yeah.
appreciating each other for what we bring to the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to thank you for being, for me, uh, a face that I can now put next to that caption, discipline, tolerance, and production. If our young generation and our older generation could remember those watchwords
Yeah.
and truly make them our watchwords, it
Yeah.
moving in the right direction.
Correct. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
So, any last words from you, Alpha? You're welcome to end our interview with
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wanna share with the younger folks that may be listening today, or whenever you listen this in the future, that we all have a gift, right? And a lot of times that gift, it just needs unraveling, right? It just needs opening. But God created all of us with this gift, and I want to share as well that this might sound a bit weird, but dig further into what I am about to say. Follow or find your gift, not your passion. Now, and I'll tell you why I say this. We are passionate about many things. Many things we are passionate about. And sometimes it's about finding that one thing that you could do so good in the world, that you could do better than everybody, and you don't even have to learn to do it. You just naturally have it. Of course, you go to school to learn to improve on it, right? And that's where we get our education. But that one thing in the world that you are so good at, sometimes that's the one thing that you shy away from. Or mommy or daddy say, boy, stop doing that now. Stop what you're doing. But that there could be your gift that could create that change in your world and the world around you. And of course, you would naturally be passionate about it. But my point is, it's not necessarily because you're passionate about football, then you're gonna play football and become a football, superstar. Not necessarily that's for everyone, right? But find that gift, unravel that gift, and that could be your journey to your success. And I always say too, find the I in your idea and the you in your uniqueness to be that better you that you ought to be tomorrow. Yeah?
Thank you to the master of the tagline. It was amazing. Your marketing taglines just fall off your tongue. I've heard about six of them coming off you today, just in this 45-minute interview. And that extension of communication extension that you did as one of your minors, it's
Yeah.
evident. And that's why this is the person that you've become.
Yeah.
Because you're passionate about your agriculture,
Yeah.
you're passionate about the business side of it, you're passionate about the communication side, and you're
Hmm.
passionate about education, and it all came together in your degree that you earned, which was agriculture with education and with communication extension, and it dovetailed into this work. So I wish you
Yeah.
all the best to higher and higher heights, Alpha.
Thank
Uh,
you, Marsha.
Looking at you with pride and with hope.
Thank you so very much, and likewise to you. Feel free to call on me anytime, and I'm really happy that we were able to collaborate this morning and share my story.
All right, Alpha. You have a good day.
Same to you.
Bye, viewers.
Bye bye.